Everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, adjusting my camera. And we're in the 3.5 Monster Manual, and we are getting towards the end. Today we're on Titan. And so a Titan is a 25-foot or 5-inch tall, beautiful humanoid that uses two-handed weapons and spells. And they're usually good, but they can be terrible and dangerous. They speak Abyssal, Common, Celestial, Draconic, and Giant. They are considered outsiders, and they use oversized two-handed weapons. So I got this He-Man for $3 somewhere. I don't remember exactly where at some point. And I thought this would be a perfect Titan. But first, we got some little things we got to do. We got to fill these holes in his back. And I'm just going to get a little bit of glue and do that. And I'm just going to let that cool. Here, do a push-up while. Do push-ups, you. So I'm going to get something to work on to make a base for him. So I'm going to get a little bit of glue there. I'm going to set that right down on there. I hope that sticks. Okay. Now, this is not a perfect circle. I was having some struggles cutting it well, but it's a circle-ish. So what I want to do is, because this cardstock from this game board is not ideal for... I can't even think English words. For the super glue trick I always do, and these large bases don't look great without some texture, I'm just coming through here and creating some little .3D bumps before I do that. Okay. Now this should be pretty cool. So on his butt here, where he's got some texture for his fur, I'm just going to get my glue gun and make those. And then I'm going to make a little line across there where there's no fur. Then on the back here, I'm just going to clean up any glue that might have come outside the hole. And then if there's any lines that I can trace that look like part of the gear, I'm just going to hit those real quick and easy. That way there's like a congruous texture. Now his hips turn here, but I think to fix that is going to be a super glue thing. So let's get the base started. I'm going to need a fair bit of super glue on this base. I don't know if you can see that, but there's quite a bit there. And I'm going to get a toothpick and rub that around. Try to get it in all the cracks and creeps and creps. All right, so baking soda is somewhere. There it is. Ah. I somehow managed to get super glue in the crook of my hand there. Oh well. I'm going to get a little fuzzy some more to cut that sloppy off of there. Okay. Now let's get him on the base. And to get him started, I'm just going to get a swab of glue on each foot. I'm going to grab that spider web out of there. I'm going to get them pushed down onto the base. I'm not sure how I want to position his arms just yet. All right, so to make sure we get a good bond, and we're going to need a good bond on this, I'm going to get some glue and soak that base down there on the inside of his feet. And put a little bit on the outside too, but not as much. In a couple spots. All right, so these gaps are pretty significant, and I don't know if I can hide those with hot glue alone, but what I am going to do is right along his butt here, I'm going to get a little bit of glue and let it soak in there, and I'm going to sprinkle this in that crack. There we go, pretty sturdy. I'm going to do the same thing there. Now, let me get a t-shirt. Just getting a piece of t-shirt. So what I want to do on the sides here is I want to kind of wipe off the excess that's not in that crack so I don't have super glue out on his sides, making rough texture like I did on his belt there. This is just to make it a little easier on me. So I'm going to fill the crack. I'm going to wipe off the excess so there's not a bunch of glue. Okay. Now we're going to make his legs not moving. And we don't need to worry about hiding this. So we just sprinkle some of that down in there. And sprinkle some glue in there. All right, now his body shouldn't move anymore that much. Okay, we're gonna need to do it on the back too because it didn't get a good bite. All right, do that right here in the crevice of his butt cheeks. Okay, oh look, that ran down onto his leg. That's all right. Now the cracks in his arms are gonna be a little tougher. So I am going to have to get some glue, and I don't want to use hot glue because it can get super messy super quick. So I'm going to paint these with that, and then I'm going to sprinkle glue very sparingly, so it's not like thick piles. All right. I'm going to do the same thing on this arm. Now this arm's going to be holding his big weapon up. Oh, I'm stuck to him. This arm's going to be holding his big weapon up. So you want to make sure you get that where you want it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to be careful. Now, like I said, if you're not in a hurry, you can try hot glue or Sculpey or any kind of two-part epoxy that you can use to clean this up. But we got to do this quick because the video format's not made for hours of sculpting and work. Plus I want to show you guys how to get something on your table pretty easy without a bunch of work. So these kind of techniques are not beautiful and perfect, but if you're just going to inexpensively get something on your table, like my $3 He-Man, now, I should have done his neck first because now I'm fighting to get into the gaps. All right, I think we got all the gaps kind of covered up the best we can. His head doesn't fit beautifully, but at least everything's not moving now, and that's pretty good. Let's make a weapon for this guy. So we need a handle or a haft first. I have a piece of some kind of square toothpick thing here that might work good. Scale-wise, it looks like it could work. Now, I don't know if you know this, but handles are never round. Some sword hilts are, but handles for big weapons are never round. They aren't. Real ones. The reason that is, actually, let me show you an example. What weapons do I have down here? Hold on, I'm getting a weapon to show you something. Alright, so I'm going to get this Tonto. And this is not a real Tonto. This is just like a decorative kind of garbage Tonto. But the reason that they don't have round handles is because if it was round, like especially like on an axe or something, this would spin as you were banging it on stuff and fighting, and you wouldn't know if it was facing the right way. But because it's ovular, or sometimes rectangular, you can get a hold of it, and one, it keeps it from twisting in your hand easily or rotating around. Like say you got blood or goo or whatever on your hand, it's going to keep it from twisting easy. And two, it'll let you know that you're either holding it the right way or the wrong way. And I'll tell you what, the balance of a weapon and the way if you're in combat and you're not looking at it, for example, if you're holding a shield, the balance of the weapon, as long as you're holding it that way, you'll know if it's backwards or forwards by the weight of the weapon. But if it's just kind of free spinning and moving around as you're fighting, you would have less trouble making sure that the weapon was oriented in the correct position, and also like the purchase or like the grip. Okay, so that's just, I don't know. Sorry, just a little talk about, so you understand that weapons were not round. You often see me use toothpicks and stuff to make weapons. I just want to explain that that's actually not ideal. What I'm about to do is not ideal. So what I want to do is I want to make this like a little weapon. In the book, he's got a hammer. I don't know exactly what I'm going to make yet. So I'm going to skin this off a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to get some wire. And I want a good bit of wire here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little loop to go at the bottom of the weapon. Just like that. And I'm going to see where I rounded it off at. And I'm going to stick it over that, a little bit off center. Then I'm going to wrap it around once just to get a good bite. Then I'm going to come back down here where I put that wire, and I'm going to start wrapping it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to simulate a wrapped handle area. We'll go up and down and thicken this up like that. Okay. And that filled in the gap pretty good. And now he's got that little loop down there. Because like Warhammers and stuff don't go in a sheath, so they either hang on the side of a backpack or on the back of, if you have like a plated part of butt on your armor, it would hang in places where it would not rattle and make a terrible amount of noise. So since we're going to make ours a Warhammer, let's cut that off about right there, we'll say. And we need a Warhammer head. What could I use? Alright. What do I have here? These are counting blocks. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. I got those at Goodwill, though. And a bead. So I think 2 of those would be adequate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the tiniest dab of super glue. And I'm going to rub those around and square that up the best I can. Then I'm going to let that sit for a moment. And then for this, I'm going to put it, I'm just going to get a dibby dab of glue like that. And I'm going to move this around and get that glue all touching. And then I'm going to just leave it centered. Now I'm going to put a little more glue in there. I'm going to bring that up here to where his hammer is. I'm going to shove it in that hole and then center it in place where I want it. Okay, just like that. And once I'm happy with it, I'm going to get some glue, drip it in that hole, sprinkle the soda baking onto it. Now that is not going to be the end of it right there, because that's a super boring looking hammer, right? So let's just spice it up a little bit. So I have these little gem bead things here. So what we can do is, let me get a knife. And a piece of garbage to put glue on. And what we'll do is we'll put a drop of glue on here. And we'll try to make this hammer interesting. Touch on the glue. Rub that around. Get it centered. Up. I'm trouble getting it off the knife. I pushed it too hard. There we go. Now I'd like to put some stuff on the edge, but I don't think these are quite big enough for what I want. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my box down here. See what kind of stuff I have. Ooh, I have these bigger gems. I can use 2 of those. All right. Yeah, I think that's about all we need. I might want that for something. Okay. So with these 2 bigger beads, I'm going to do some... Oh, shit, where's my... There it is. I'm going to do something very similar, but I'm going to put these on the edge. So I'm going to flip these over so I can get a hold of them. And I'm going to try to center these right on the hammer head. And on the back of it too. Just to make the hammer look a little more interesting. And now we want to make sure this doesn't ever leave his hand. And I'm not going to baking soda that, okay? Actually, I might on the bottom here. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to black bomb it, and then we're going to come back and paint it, and we'll make that a part 2. I'd like to thank you guys for taking time to watch the Titan build. There's a couple little things I'm going to do in between. I'm going to add some rocks to the base. And to do that, before we go, let me quickly do that. In case you're new, because if you've been here for a while, you know how I do it. But if you're new, you might not know. So for this kind of stuff, I'm getting the biggest, flattest side and putting it down, and I'm just letting glue drip until it breaks the surface tension, falls underneath, and then soaks under the model like it will. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Break that surface tension. But you can see it soaking. I don't know if you guys can see that though, but you can see it soak into the base when I do that. When that surface tension breaks. Let me see if you can see it from that angle. Now I'm looking through the camera. You can't see it. Okay. But anyways, when it soaks down onto the base, you'll know that you have good contact. And I'm going to put one more back here. And this is, since this miniature might be a little top heavy or easy to knock over, that little bit of counterweight will help make it sturdier. You don't need it. It's just something you can do. I'm going to toss a couple small rocks on here too while I'm at it. And some of these might fall off because I'm not putting a lot of effort into this. I'm just going to drop them on here. Push them into little areas and get some glue on them. And then I'm going to put it in front of a fan to dry. And then I'm going to black bomb it. And then I'll come back and we'll make a part 2 of the Titan. Now, there are some things I didn't like about this model, but when you're trying to spend the least amount of money to do something like this... Oh, and I did not spend $3 on this. I'm mistaken. I was at a toy store in Erie, PA, where you get a basket and you can fill it up with stuff out of these bins for like $10. That's what I did, because they had a $3 price tag on it. I'm like, I can't remember where I found that, but that's because it was in a bin. I didn't buy it like as a one-off. But anyways, so thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, and all that happy crappy. Since this guy is molded and painted, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to hit him with a clear coat, then I'm going to hit him with a black bomb, and then we'll come back and we'll paint him up. So I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, and all that stuff if I didn't tell you. Buy some websites or buy some miniatures from the website, and come check out our Discord where we can share crafting ideas and crafts and stuff back and forth. And I'm trying to make it very active. I spend a good bit of time on there checking it and talking to people, and we have a couple really active, funny people on there. So come check that out too, and we'll see you next time.